So instead of doing the normal format, I thought I'd just recommend some movies to watch over Halloween. If there's any movie that captures the spirit of Halloween in my eyes, in terms of how fun it can be, it's Creepshow. George Romero and Stephen King made this as a tribute to the anthology horror comics they read when they were growing up, and so the movie has a ton of shots and colors that are straight out of a comic book. I absolutely love the red and blue lighting, it's just so effective. And each story is so unique and diverse from each other, and it helps the movie remain fresh and interesting while you're watching it. You have a great zombie story, Stephen King starring what's essentially Color Out of Space.
That's a meteor. I'd be dipped in shit if that ain't a meteor.
Leslie Nielsen drowning Ted Danson, a really well done monster story which has some great jump scares I want to add, and a guy getting attacked by a shitload of bugs. It's a very entertaining horror movie, and at this point it's probably one of my favorite movies to watch around Halloween. Then we have an older movie, The Haunting, which is essentially the perfect way to do a ghost story. Martin Scorsese called this one of the scariest movies ever made, and I can't help but agree. I know I'm a Scorsese stan, but it's more than that. It really is. The atmosphere of this movie is very creepy, and a large part of that comes from the way Hill House is utilized. These characters essentially start to lose their minds within this giant, bizarre house that's filled with a whole bunch of weird, creepy shit. All of the acting is great, the cinematography is perfect, and there are dozens of scenes and moments that just stick with you afterwards. That's how effective the creepiness factor of this movie is. Hey, another George Romero film. Dawn of the Dead follows 4 characters taking shelter in a mall during the zombie apocalypse, and I think that might be fun. I first watched this during the polar vortex in early 2019, and I remember thinking this would be the best way to live during a zombie apocalypse, because it just seems like you can have the most fun being stuck in an entire mall. You can't blame me for thinking like that. This is a very entertaining movie. I actually think it's my favorite zombie film, at least from what zombie movies I can think of. It has all of those zombie movie cliches that you expect to see, but it also has this undeniably fun sense of humor and class that's really engaging. Fun fact, this movie actually got made because Dario Argento, the director of the original Suspiria, was such a big fan of Night of the Living Dead that he was able to get Romero enough support to make this one on a bigger budget with bigger, bloodier effects, which look great. He even got the Goblins to come in and write the music. Speaking of music, this next movie has a badass theme song. This movie is about aliens, who of course just happen to look and act like clowns, coming to Earth to harvest humans for food or something. Out of the movies in this little list, this is by far the dumbest. It's the same type of thing you expect out of something like Friday the 13th, where there's a lot of rampant 80s horror cliches.
Holy shit! Believe it.
But there's still a lot of creative effort put into this thing. The monster makeup, the sets, the costumes, the props, everything looks very inspired. And there's a very definite tongue-in-cheek nature that makes me go, sure, this isn't great in the way that The Shining is great, but it's just so much fun to watch. In what other movie can you see a living balloon dog, a guy getting killed by acid pies, and a fight with a giant clown literally named Jojo the Clownzilla? I'll tell you where. Only in Killer Klowns, man. But let's get serious about the art of filmmaking for a minute. This is my favorite adaptation of Dracula. Francis Ford Coppola made this, and it definitely shows. The movie looks great, but it goes the extra mile by getting very experimental with its editing style, so you have a lot of these great transitions and layered images, which are beautiful, really. They're beautiful to look at. When you think about Dracula movies, not a lot of them come to mind specifically for their visual aesthetic. In fact, some of them look fucking terrible, but not this. This is filmmaking, man. Drawing focus to the acting, Gary Oldman is fantastic as always. He actually fits the role of Dracula more than any other actor I've seen. He literally hits all the checkpoints and more. In addition, you have Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing, who's great. He actually has a lot of funny moments.
Yeah, she was in great pain. Then we cut off her head and drove a stake through her heart and burned it, and then she found peace.
Doctor!
Winona Ryder does a really good job as Mina Harker, and yeah. One of the universally agreed flaws with this movie, if any, is that Keanu Reeves' acting is not up to par with everyone else. He's a good guy who can do an action scene, but he can't do a British accent.
I know where the bastard sleeps. I brought him there. To Carfax Abbey.
Otherwise, the movie is pretty great. Every part of the production is so meticulously crafted. I really see this as something that's just a hair away from being a masterpiece. So anyway, enjoy your night, watch these movies, and happy Halloween.